English class. I hope you all are doing well, and we have been discussing the chapter A House is Not a Home, and it is written by Zan Budioso, and we have discussed some paragraphs yesterday and day before yesterday, and we have to continue with the chapter today. And before that, we should revise the points that we discussed yesterday. What all was that? We have seen the main character, our narrator Zan, and his mother, Zan got admission in a new school, and it was very difficult for him to adjust with the new circumstances there. And what happened there? And their house got burned in a fire, and he lost his pet cat too. So that he became very sad about all these losses, and also about the new situations and the new problems and the challenges that the life is giving in front of him. Okay, let's continue with the chapter today.
Page number 52, first paragraph. I'll read, listen. When I walked through what used to be my house after school that day, I was shocked to see how much damage there was. Whatever had been burned was destroyed by the water and chemicals they had used to put out the fire. The only material things not destroyed were the photo albums, documents, and some other personal items that my mother had managed to heroically rescue. But my cat was gone, and my heart ached for her. There was no time to grieve. My mother rushed me out of the house. We would have to find a place to live, and I would have to go buy some clothes for school. Here we can understand that on his way back, he walked through his burned house and was shocked to see the extent of damage that had been caused by the fire and the water that had extinguished it. The only things that were safe were the ones that his mother had rescued, the papers, photos, and some other personal items and some documents. Zan had lost his cat too. He was too much worried about his cat. And Zan could not grieve the loss of his cat because they had to rebuild their life. Not just their home, they had to rebuild their life. They had to arrange a place to live in, and also clothes for school and everything they should manage. Look at the next paragraph. We had to borrow money from my grandparents because there were no credit cards, cash, or even any identification to be able to withdraw money from the bank. Everything had gone up in smoke. That week, the rubble that used to be our house was being cleared off the lot. Even though we had rented an apartment nearby, I would go over to watch them clear away debris, hoping that my cat was somewhere to be found. She was gone. I kept thinking about her as that vulnerable little kitten. In the early morning, when I would disturb her and get out of bed, she would tag along after me, climb up my robe, and crawl into my pocket to fall asleep. I was missing her terribly. The word vulnerable means weak or easy to influence. Here we can understand that they had to borrow money from his grandparents because they did not have their credit cards, cash, or any identity proofs to withdraw money from bank, even if they have money or deposits in bank. And after some days, the workers were removing the remains of the burned house. They were living in a rented apartment nearby, but Zan would visit his old house and see the workers. And he wished to find his cat there, but he has not found. He had lost her, but kept thinking of the poor soul. How it would wake up when Zan disturbed it and then followed him, climbed up his gown, and would fall asleep while sitting in his pocket. He missed her terribly. Look at the next paragraph. It always seems that bad news spreads quickly, and in my case it was no different. Everyone in high school, including the teachers, was aware of my plight. I was embarrassed as if somehow I were responsible. What a way to start off at a new school. This was not the kind of attention I was looking for. The word plight, which means sad story. Okay, here Zan thought that bad news always spread faster than anything else, and everyone knows his story, including all the teachers, and he became very sad about it. Zan felt embarrassed as if he was guilty for all that had happened. and he was getting attention for all the wrong reasons. This is not the way that he wished to get the attention from all the teachers and from his friends. Let's continue with the next paragraph. Yes. The next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. I was getting ready for gym class at my locker. People were milling around me, asking me to hurry up. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, nothing would surprise me. It almost seemed that they were trying to shove me into the gym. Then I saw why. There was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it, just for me. They had taken up a collection and brought me school supplies, notebooks, all kinds of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. It was like Christmas. I was overcome by emotion. People who had never spoken to me before were coming up to me to introduce themselves. I got all kinds of invitations to their houses. Their genuine outpouring of concern really touched me. In that instant, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought for the first time that things were going to be okay. I made friends that day. Have you seen the word or the phrase milling around, which means moving around aimlessly, and the word shove, which means push hard? The next day in the school, which was something unusual and very much strange for him. Everyone looked at him with a special concern and surprise, and he couldn't understand why they are behaving in this way. Zan was changing for the gym class when students gathered around him and asked him to hurry. Zan was accustomed to strange happenings and so did not react much. The students pushed him into the gym. Then there he happened to see a table full of articles like notebooks, clothes, stationery items, and etc. It felt they like Christmas time. Him to their houses, and he was moved by their concern for him. He felt relieved because it was for the first time that he felt something good was happening to him. He made new friends that day, and now he is going to adjust with the new circumstances and the look at the next paragraph. Life. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it, but this time it was different. I wasn't alone. I was with two of my new friends from school. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same. After a month, Zan visited his house as it was being rebuilt, and this time he was not alone. He had two friends with him. The incident transformed him. He came out of the negativity and made new friends, and he realized that just like his house was being rebuilt, similarly his life was also being rebuilt. Shall we continue with the next paragraph? Yes. While we sat there on the curb, planning my new bedroom, I heard someone walk up to me from behind and say, "Does this belong to you?" When I turned around to see who it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat. I leapt up and grabbed her out of the woman's arm. I held her close to me and cried into that beautiful orange fur. She purred happily. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat and jumping around. The word curb, which means edge of the pavement. Okay, and they were sitting on the pavement and were planning San's new bedroom, and someone walked up to San from behind and asked if the cat that she was holding belonged to him. San became very much happy to see his cat again, and Zan grabbed his pet cat and held her close and cried. On union with her master, the cat made a happy sound, that purring sound that usually the cats are making. Zan's friends shared his happiness and jumped around him, and they were hugging each other. Look at the next paragraph. Apparently, my cat had been so freaked by the fire that she ran over a mile away. Her collar had our phone number on it, but our phones had been destroyed and disconnected. This wonderful woman took her in and worked hard to find out whose cat it was. Somehow, she knew this cat was loved and sorely missed. The word freaked here means behaved irrationally. Okay, from this paragraph we can understand that due to the fire, Sam's pet cat behaved strangely and ran almost a mile away. Although their phone number was written in her collar, but as their phone had been destroyed in the fire, the lady could not contact him. She made efforts to trace their address through the number and thus reached them. She could make out that the cat was being missed by her master because the cat was also sad and missed him terribly. And he became very much happy to see the cat again. Let's continue with the paragraph. Yes, the last paragraph. As I sat there with my friends and my cat curled up in my lap, all the overwhelming feelings of loss and tragedy seemed to diminish. I felt gratitude for my life, my new friends, the kindness of a stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, and so was I. Have you seen the word diminish, which means fade off, and the word gratitude, which means thankfulness? When he was sitting there with his friends, all the sadness disappeared and he got his cat back, and also his life also came back with all the pleasures and with all the happiness and also the spirit of life. He was happy again and thankful for getting a new life which got him new friends, a kind of woman who returned his cat. He got a new life. This is all about the chapter. Go through the paragraphs that we discussed.